like Caitlin Clark might have.
Caitlin Clark just dropped a bombshell that caught everyone off guard. Her longtime agent Erin Kane, gone. In her place, she brought in Alan Zucker, a heavyweight sports agent who works with some of the most recognizable names out there. We're talking Peyton Manning, Taylor Swift, Trevor Lawrence, the kind of clients who operate on a completely different level. There wasn't some big official statement or carefully crafted announcement, just a casual picture at a college football game. And suddenly the pieces started falling into place. Something significant shifted behind closed doors. And people everywhere are scrambling to understand what triggered this decision. Is this all connected to that Nike contract situation? Or is there a deeper story we're missing?
Caitlin Clark has definitely made waves throughout the weekend. She was at the Indiana-Ohio State game in Indianapolis, and I'm here to tell you it was a big upset too. Well, not to me, because I knew Indiana was going to beat Ohio State. Indiana's just a better football team. But Caitlin Clark did make an appearance at this event. Now, it's a photo that she took that actually is making waves.
Let's get right into it. So here's how this whole thing unraveled. Caitlin showed up at the Indiana versus Ohio State game in Indianapolis this past weekend. Nothing unusual there. Athletes attend games constantly. But there was this one photograph that sparked all the conversation. She's standing there with her boyfriend Connor and another person. And fans immediately started wondering who that was. Turns out that person was Alan Zucker. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, let me break down why this matters so much. Alan Zucker works with Excel Sports Management, one of the most influential agencies in the entire sports world. This isn't someone who takes on random clients. His roster includes both Manning brothers, plus Arch, Trevor Lawrence, Clayton Kershaw, and even Taylor Swift. That's right, Taylor Swift. This man builds billion-dollar empires for his clients. And now Caitlin Clark joins that elite group. That's a serious leap from where she was previously. Caitlin spent years working with Erin Kane. Erin isn't exactly a household name like Zuck. She guided Caitlin through her college years and secured some partnerships along the way. But if we're being completely honest, those agreements weren't impressive, particularly that Nike situation. And that's likely the main catalyst for this entire shakeup. When you examine what went down with Nike, the problems become pretty obvious.
You've got the Nike deal, which we all know was one of the worst deals in the history of pro sports. Like, this is a bigger underpay than when Steph Curry signed that $12 million a year contract when he was winning unanimous MVPs. Like, this is one of the biggest blunders. And it's not necessarily the fact that, again, it's the money for this year. It is the fact that she's tied down for 8 years. If she had signed a 1 year, $4 million deal, or even a 1 year, $3 million deal, which I think she's making per year from Nike anyway, she could have negotiated that into probably a $20 million deal. And it would have given her leverage, because she is going to make a cut of a signature shoe of any signature brand, but they haven't released a signature brand. So it would have given her. So basically, the agent has lost Caitlin Clark all leverage with Nike. And Nike are doing everything they can to.
Caitlin chose Nike over Under Armour, and that choice has been questioned relentlessly ever since. Under Armour was prepared to offer her something substantial. They desperately wanted her signature. Steph Curry, their flagship athlete, was actively pushing for the partnership. Yet Caitlin signed with Nike instead, and what she received wasn't remotely competitive with what Under Armour had on the table. So naturally, people started pointing fingers at Erin Kane. The criticism was that she dropped the ball during negotiations. She didn't push hard enough. She left significant money behind. And honestly, that assessment is probably accurate. Now let's dig into Excel Sports Management for a moment. This organization operates at the highest tier. Their client roster reads like a who's who of sports and entertainment superstars. And something interesting happened earlier this year when Goldman Sachs purchased a controlling interest in Excel, putting the agency's value close to $1 billion. That's absolutely wild. And the timing of that acquisition matters, because Goldman Sachs already had business connections with Caitlin Clark. Some kind of sponsorship arrangement existed during her rookie WNBA season. So when they acquired Excel, they essentially gained direct access to one of the biggest names in women's professional sports. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Excel actually represents Under Armour as a corporate client, not just Steph Curry individually, but the entire Under Armour organization. So during Caitlin's decision-making process between Nike and Under Armour, Excel had a direct channel to facilitate the Under Armour partnership. But she still selected Nike, and that decision probably traces directly back to Erin Kane's influence. Because if Alan Zucker had been advising her at that point, There's virtually no chance she would have accepted a mediocre Nike offer when Under Armour was ready to pay substantially more.
There is one player in this league that a lot of this popularity hinges on. And so I'm just wondering if they're like, we can't give up so much, because what if it's a bubble and the popularity doesn't sustain and it doesn't keep going up? Now, I think all of us believe that women's basketball will continue to get more and more popular because there's all these younger players that are coming in that fans are really excited about. But I think the league is being like, we can't just go all in after 2 years of unprecedented success that the WNBA has never seen in its 28 year history of the league. They saw a rise that was so quick, but do they put all their eggs in this basket and say, sure, like we'll give you the revenue sharing because we know we're going to make this much money?
Steph Curry was genuinely upset when Caitlyn signed with Nike. He's talked about it openly. He envisioned her as Under Armour's answer to his own impact on the brand. Someone who could revolutionize the women's side. Someone who could move product like nobody else. But Caitlyn went with Nike instead. And what she settled for wasn't even in the same ballpark as what Steph had lined up. That represents a clear misstep by Erin Kane. And Caitlyn obviously came to that realization. So now Alan Zucker's in the picture. And when you look at who he works with, every single one of them is operating at superstar status. Every single one commands top dollar compensation. Every single one extracts maximum value from their platform. That's exactly what Caitlyn needs right now. She doesn't need someone who's going to mishandle negotiations. She needs someone who's going to secure every single dollar she's earned. And Alan Zucker is precisely that person. We should also examine the photograph that kicked off this entire conversation. Caitlyn was positioned next to Alan Zucker at the football game, and fans picked up on it immediately. Comments started flooding in asking if that was her new representation, and it absolutely was. Someone even tracked down a website listing Zucker's client portfolio, and there was Caitlin Clark's name sitting right there alongside everyone else. No formal announcement, no media release, just her name quietly added to his roster like it was routine business. But this is far from routine business, because Caitlyn's income potential is absolutely explosive right now. She's already pulling in over $16 million annually from endorsement deals. She's become the most recognizable figure in women's basketball. She's turning down $20 million offers from competing leagues. She commands attention from every major brand worldwide, and now she's partnered with one of the most effective agents in the entire industry. That combination sets the stage for unprecedented success. Erin Kane probably sensed this was coming, because when you're an agent and your client starts making financial decisions that don't add up, it's only a matter of time before they start exploring alternatives. And Caitlyn's Nike agreement made absolutely no sense financially. Everyone recognizes that. Fans see it, industry analysts see it, and Caitlyn definitely sees it. So she initiated a change, and frankly that's the smart move. Some people might argue that Erin Kane deserves credit for getting Caitlyn to this point. And that's fair. Erin was involved from the very beginning. She helped Caitlyn handle her college career. She helped with the transition into professional basketball. But there's a fundamental difference between effectively representing a college athlete and effectively representing a global phenomenon. Caitlyn isn't a college player anymore. She's evolved into a brand, and she needs someone who comprehends how to manage a brand operating at that stratosphere. Alan Zucker comprehends that completely. He's managed Taylor Swift's brand, and she's arguably the most moniscent entertainer on the planet. He's managed the Manning dynasty, which represents football aristocracy. He's managed Trevor Lawrence through one of the most lucrative rookie contracts in NFL history. This person knows negotiation inside and out. He knows how to maximize value proposition, and he knows how to shield his clients from exploitation. Caitlyn needs that protection desperately, because at this moment, everyone wants a piece of what she's built. International leagues are throwing millions at her. Corporations are competing fiercely for her endorsement. Media companies want exclusive access. She's generated more discussion than any athlete in women's sports. And without the right person coordinating all of that, she's vulnerable to being taken advantage of. Erin Kane couldn't manage that pressure effectively. Alan Zucker absolutely can. The timing of this decision is also worth examining closely. Caitlyn just completed an injury-shortened season. She only appeared in 13 games. Fans felt disappointed. The team struggled, and questions emerged about whether she was being managed appropriately. Now she's implementing changes. New representation, new priorities, new strategy. This feels like a complete reset, and resets are valuable when current approaches aren't producing desired results. Caitlyn's also been shedding weight. Fans have noticed she's not carrying the bulk she had during her first professional season. She's returning to her Iowa physique, the body that made her the most dominant college basketball player in the country. And honestly, that's a smart adjustment, because during her time at Iowa, she was absolutely unstoppable. She was launching shots from impossible distances. She was shattering records. She was dropping 40 points like it was routine. Then the WNBA happened, and she added muscle mass, and her shooting percentages started declining. So now she's reverting to what produced results. And maybe that factors into why she parted ways with Aaron Kane. Maybe she recognized that the people in her circle weren't providing optimal guidance. Maybe she recognized she needed a completely fresh start. New agent, new training philosophy, new mental approach. Because if Caitlin wants to establish herself as the premier player in the WNBA, she needs to recapture what made her special at Iowa. Alan Zucker's client portfolio is also revealing. He represents champions exclusively. Peyton Manning claimed 2 Super Bowl victories. Eli Manning claimed 2 Super Bowl victories. Trevor Lawrence is being developed into a franchise cornerstone. Clayton Kershaw is a guaranteed Hall of Famer. Taylor Swift dominates the entire music industry. These aren't simply talented individuals. These are proven winners. And Caitlin aspires to win. She wants championships. She wants lasting legacy. And Alan Zucker understands how to help athletes accomplish exactly that. Now let's consider what this means for Caitlin's upcoming agreements. With Alan Zucker handling her business, she's almost certainly going to renegotiate existing contracts. She's almost certainly going to demand better terms from Nike. She's almost certainly going to investigate additional endorsement possibilities. And she's definitely going to ensure she receives compensation matching her actual value. Because right now she's significantly underpaid relative to what she brings. Think about the reality here. Caitlin represents the most marketable player in the entire WNBA. She fills arenas everywhere. She drives television viewership. She dominates social media platforms. She's achieved cultural icon status. And yet her WNBA salary sits at just $119,000. That's ridiculous. And her endorsement portfolio, while solid, doesn't reflect her true worth. Alan Zucker is going to correct that situation. He's going to guarantee that every agreement she signs extracts maximum value. There's also potential for Caitlin to explore opportunities completely outside basketball. With Alan Zucker guiding her, she could venture into entertainment. She could film commercials. She could host television programs. She could even pursue acting opportunities if that interests her. Taylor Swift transcended being just a singer. She became a complete brand, and Alan Zucker helped construct that brand. He possesses the capability to replicate that with Caitlin. But let's address the elephant in the room. The question dominating everyone's thoughts is simply why. Why did Caitlin terminate her relationship with Aaron Kane? Was it exclusively about that Nike contract? Or were there additional factors happening behind closed doors? Because ending a long-established professional relationship isn't something you do casually. Something specific must have pushed Caitlin past the breaking point. Maybe Aaron wasn't receptive to her input. Maybe their visions for her career diverged fundamentally. Maybe Caitlin simply outgrew what Aaron could offer. Whatever triggered it, Caitlin clearly felt change was necessary. And truthfully, this decision makes complete sense. Athletes switch representation constantly. It's not emotional, it's purely business. And when you're operating at Caitlin's level, you must ensure the people surrounding you represent the absolute best in the industry. Aaron Kane might have been perfect for college, but professional Caitlin requires someone with deeper experience, stronger connections, and greater influence. And that person is Alan Zucker. Fans are already theorizing about implications for Caitlin's relationship with the Indiana Fever. Some believe she might request a trade. Others think she's positioning herself for a more lucrative contract when her current agreement expires. And honestly, both scenarios are plausible, because with Alan Zucker representing her interests, Caitlin will have options, numerous options, and she'll select whatever advances her career most effectively. This decision also transmits a clear message throughout the WNBA. Caitlin isn't playing games anymore. She's committed to excellence, she's committed to fair compensation, and she's committed to building something permanent. And if the WNBA doesn't elevate its approach and provide what she deserves, she's now partnered with one of the most formidable agents in professional sports, ready to advocate aggressively on her behalf. Alan Zucker doesn't accept losing in negotiations. He secures favorable outcomes for his clients. And now Caitlin Clark is on that list. That spells trouble for anyone attempting to undervalue her, because Alan won't tolerate that approach. He's going to ensure Caitlin receives every dollar, every opportunity, and every bit of recognition she's earned. So yeah, Caitlin Clark severed ties with Aaron Kane and brought Alan Zucker on board. And the WNBA better prepare itself, because the landscape is about to transform. Caitlin isn't merely the face of women's basketball anymore. She's a superstar now backed by a superstar agent, and that combination is extremely dangerous. Caitlin Clark just made a power move that shifts everything. If you want continued coverage of Caitlin, the WNBA, and all the behind-the-scenes developments, hit that like button and subscribe. This situation is only beginning to unfold, and you definitely don't want to miss what comes next.